Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you. Josh of Severe Weather. Thank you for joining me this morning. We're going to talk about what's next for Hurricane Beryl, which made landfall just a short while ago here near Matagorda, Texas, now impacting the Houston area with some really nasty weather, but doesn't stop right there. We're going to see quite a bit more of the U.S. population impacted by Beryl here. Major impacts coming this week. You will see on my map here, the storm will be tracking northward today, weakening as it does so, and then accelerating into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region by the middle of the week. We are going to see winds aloft that will be strong enough to support some tornadoes. We'll also see significant tropical moisture as this system's been over the tropics for the last 10 days. And the area at greatest risk here is circled in pink across East Texas, western Louisiana, up into Arkansas, and into the lower Ohio Valley for the threat for some tornadoes, but we'll see heavy rainfall as well. So let's take a look at what's going on. Starting with the tropics, you can see Beryl has moved into Texas. Things are fortunately going to be pretty quiet over the next couple of weeks behind it, not looking at any kind of major developments anytime soon. We do have an upper level low that is spinning off the East Coast here between the Carolinas and Bermuda, some flare up and storms, but nothing that should develop into anything tropically. And then the good news is that very stable air is in place across the main development region. You can see kind of this northeasterly flow here. Just a weak wave moving through the Virgin Islands this morning, but just some heavy rain, no tropical development, and then everything else is suppressed to the south. This is the area that Beryl formed. It actually formed down in here and moved in this general direction across the Windward Islands. Unfortunately, over the next couple of weeks, we are not going to see anything like that in coming off of the African coastline and across the main development region. So here's a look at Hurricane Beryl. And officially, the wind speeds were 80 miles per hour. So it was a tropical storm yesterday, Category 1 hurricane during the overnight hours. Aircraft reports showed some stronger wind. I would not be shocked if this in the post-mortem were kind of increased a little bit more, but a good solid Category 1 storm. And honestly, a lot of us thought it could get a lot stronger, but it had to fight dry air, had to fight some wind shear coming off the Yucatan. And let's just say it's a blessing, and fortunately, not as strong as it could have been, but still a pretty nasty storm here. Actually about the size of Hurricane Idalia, which moved through the eastern Florida panhandle and the Big Bend region last year. Even though that was a Category 4, it weakened when it came in. This one, as you can see, has grown in size and strength, and a lot of that is due to a favorable upper level environment. So definitely not off the hook, but at least it didn't get stronger than it has at this point. Didn't get to a Cat 2 or Cat 3, but still going to be producing some major challenges to those of us here in Southeast Texas this morning. You can see now the eye of the storm has moved inland, almost kind of a concentric eye wall. You can see kind of this 30-mile wide eye, and then you see kind of a more intact eye here. So obviously, for the structure of a hurricane, we want to see one eye wall, not two. So it's not the most organized of systems, but still a powerful one. And we're going to see the strongest winds kind of moving up towards the Bolivar Peninsula, Galveston Bay area here over the next couple of hours. These rain bands off to the north and east of the center are producing some incredibly strong rainfall rates. And this morning in the Houston area, you're going to get hit very hard with 3 to 4 inches of rain per hour over the next few hours before things settle down in the early to mid-afternoon. We also have the increasing threat this morning for maybe a few tornadoes to form here. You kind of see these individual discrete cells that are tracking towards the Louisiana-Texas border, Cameron Parish, Port Arthur, the Sabine River, mouth of the Sabine River here, High Island. These we have to watch as the morning wears on. There will be bands of heavy rain that circulate in from the Gulf of Mexico that will continue to bring some rough surf to the area this morning, but we should see things slowly moving away as we head towards the afternoon. Last night, aircraft flew in, and kind of the main things you'll see is that the pressure dropped significantly. We were in the 990s down in here yesterday around this time, got down to about 979 millibars, so strong Category 1 pressure. The winds weren't quite there, but you can see the plane that flew in here at the last recon about 4:30 in the morning Eastern, 3:30 Central, was measuring winds that were up to about 90 knots at flight level. And that typically equates to about 90 miles per hour if you reduce it about 15%, 10 to 15%. So even though the official winds at landfall were 80 miles per hour, the aircraft supports 90-mile-per-hour winds during the hour or two leading up to landfall. So I'll be interested to see if this does get maybe not upgraded to a Category 2, but if the intensity in the long term is increased a little bit. Nonetheless, it should start to weaken now that it is moving inland and into its a lack of a tropical source here for strengthening. You can see here 979 millibars at landfall, the eye 28 nautical miles wide, so very big eye here, but we are going to see weakening as the day wears on. Here is a look at the Hurricane Center's official forecast. You can see here on this map the hurricane force winds over a relatively small area, but tropical storm force winds encompassing all of southeastern Texas. We do have a hurricane warning still in effect from just northeast of Corpus Christi right on up to Galveston Bay. That includes the greater Houston area, at least the Bay side, and a tropical storm warning to the Texas and Louisiana border. The hurricane warning will probably get lifted later this morning. The tropical storm warning may continue into the afternoon. And then at that point, we're just talking about primarily impacts from heavy rain and severe weather, and inland, even some strong winds as well. So this will be a tropical storm by this afternoon. It'll be weakening tonight and should be a depression by tomorrow morning. The remnant low will get picked up by a trough swinging through. That will bring it faster off to the north and east into the Ohio Valley and into the eastern Great Lakes by Wednesday night and Thursday morning. You can see the historical track of the storm. One that we've never seen so early in the month of July or end of June, got up to Category 5 strength in the Eastern Caribbean, weakened to a Category 4 near Jamaica, made landfall as a Category 2 on the Yucatan, and then struggled with some shear and dry air over the Western Gulf. So fortunate for that, or it would have been probably a major hurricane coming into the Texas coastline. But nonetheless, a nasty storm here with lots of rain, lots of wind. You can see rain potential up to a foot here just south and west of Houston. Still some storm surge this morning as high as 7 feet. This will start to let up as the morning wears on. Already starting to let up probably around Matagorda Bay, but still onshore flow up the coast to about Freeport and San Luis Pass. 4 to 6 feet this morning over Galveston Bay, 3 to 5 feet from High Island to Sabine Pass, 1 to 3 feet here along the southwest coast of Louisiana, all the way to the border of Cameron and Vermilion parishes. You can see the track here is pretty well clustered across East Texas and right through the middle of Arkansas. I saw a graphic online yesterday saying it was following the total eclipse from April. I know that's kind of funny, but kind of is if you think about it. But it will be continuing to weaken as it moves up towards Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and eventually into southwest Canada. At this point, it's going to get picked up by a front, so it won't even really be its own low at this point. Here's a look at the intensity forecast, and we should see this weaken to tropical storm intensity by mid-morning or so in Texas. Tropical storm this afternoon and tonight, and then a tropical depression tomorrow. We'll still have some wind inland, though. It's not going to just completely die. A strengthening storm as it comes inland takes some time to wind down. And you can see here on the NAM model that the pressure is going to come up to about 1,000 millibars in East Texas over here as it gets picked up by this large trough right in here. So nothing but acceleration at this point, moving at 12 miles per hour this morning. That forward speed should increase to about 15 miles per hour as we get to the night tonight, and then probably closer to 20 miles per hour. But still a powerful system. You can see it's interacting here with this upper low by the time it gets into Illinois later tomorrow evening. And when you've got a deepening low like that, you've got to worry about intense rainfall, but also some severe weather in the warm sector. I'm going to kind of break that down for you guys in a little bit, where the tornado threat may be a little bit higher and where the heavy rain threat may be a little bit higher. Here's a look at the NAM model, and you can see just a big storm that is growing in size here, but weakening in intensity. But take a look at some of these darker colors coming off of the Gulf, even tonight into Louisiana. We are going to continue to see bands of heavier showers and storms with isolated severe weather, although the core of the storm by tomorrow afternoon is moving up into Illinois and Indiana. You can see kind of the deeper clouds. We may get a little bit more bursts of rain and thunderstorms here across south central Texas around San Antonio and Austin, heading towards College Station here tomorrow night. But for the most part, this storm is long gone. This is just produced by the boundary that is driving the system north and east from our trough. And you can see here on the upper level picture, here's our trough kind of diving down here. You kind of see this cutting off here across Wyoming and Nebraska. That is going to swing eastward and become kind of a cutoff low. And here, what it's going to do is going to take the circulation here of Beryl and accelerate it northeast. The two are going to interact. And in the warm sector here, we are going to have that threat for severe weather, including strong winds and a few tornadoes as well. Probably not high-end tornadoes, but tornadoes nonetheless. So here's a look at wind speed forecasts from the HAFS model, and you can see the strongest winds are moving into Houston this morning around 8 to 9 in the morning. Wind gusts approaching hurricane strength, 80 to 90 miles per hour. The eye wall will actually go through the western side of Harris County this morning and then should move away. So about a 2 or 3 hour period where winds may get to hurricane intensity in the Houston area. That's going to cause some damage in places that have already been damaged by severe weather in the spring. But the good news is that the storm will weaken significantly this afternoon into tonight. There'll still be a core where wind speeds could gust up to 55 miles per hour this evening in northeast Texas, and then 30 to 40 miles per hour across Arkansas and Missouri. But you can see things are winding down pretty quickly at this point. Here's a look at another thing that I'm concerned about, and that is the threat for some tornadoes. It will start to climb this morning in southeastern Texas and far southwestern Louisiana. But with the heating of the day, with the increase in the trough moving in here, the wind field kind of increasing, we do see increased wind shear here across the Piney Woods region of Texas. And that will continue into western Louisiana. There's actually an enhanced risk this afternoon into this evening for northeast Texas, northwest Louisiana, into the Arklatex region. You can see some of these numbers are getting up there to about 9 here. So some pretty significant wind shear to deal with. These tornadoes probably won't be long tracked, but there will be several tornado warnings as the day wears on. So if you're in the Shreveport, Bossier City area, you need to be watching this right around the reservoir. Used to be Fort Polk. I don't know what the new name is. Need to be watching this area as well. And then even as we head towards this evening, this will shift northeastward into northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas as well. So primarily east of the track here, although this morning in Houston, we do need to watch out for the threat for a few tornadoes. Sorry for stumbling over my words. I've been nonstop here. I'm supposed to have a peaceful vacation, and this storm popped up, and no sleep since then. So anyway, looking farther north and east, you can see the threat for tornadoes overnight tonight does start to diminish a little bit, but tomorrow it does pick right back up over western Tennessee and the Boot Heel of Missouri, and also western Kentucky, including Mayfield, Bowling Green. We do have a threat for a few tornadoes in the afternoon tomorrow. Right now, a marginal risk being expected by the Storm Prediction Center. That's kind of the level 1 out of 5. I do think that could get increased to a slight risk at the very least. That would be level 2. But we do need to watch here. We're not going to see a lot of tornadoes, but we will see a few across this area through the afternoon, and even moving up into southern Indiana for a little bit tomorrow evening as well. Here's a look at the HRRR model showing our storm system moving and accelerating to the north and east. It'll lose its core by the time we get to Tuesday morning, but the moisture continues. Down south, we see showers and storms near the Gulf, but the heavy rain is out of the region by the time we get to later tomorrow evening. Here's a look at Texas this morning. You can see the bands of very heavy rain will spread north and east of Houston by 8 or 9 a.m. towards the Woodlands, towards the east, right over Galveston Bay. Huntsville, eventually Beaumont, Lufkin are going to see incredibly heavy rain and maybe severe weather late this morning into the early afternoon. But Houston proper should dry out here by mid-afternoon. We should see the winds dying off significantly here as that drier air wraps in. At the same time as that happens, we are going to see very rough weather moving into western Louisiana, including Lake Charles here around the middle of this afternoon. Quieting down for tonight, just some leftover showers and storms near the Gulf. This is a boundary moving south and east. It's not Beryl, and this will be tomorrow afternoon. Looking farther east and north, towards northeast Texas, you'll see the Metroplex misses the majority of this rain, but we could see some rain in Dallas proper, mainly east of 35 East, and then this tracks up towards Tyler, Texarkana, and Shreveport this evening. There will be a threat for a few embedded tornadoes here and very heavy rain in the far northeastern portion of Texas and the far southeastern portion of Oklahoma early tonight, before this lets up and moves away early in the day tomorrow on Tuesday. Here's a look at Louisiana real quick. And I'll move this along for you guys here. This model was from earlier, but you can see the bands of showers and storms that are lifting northeastward here. Tornado threat. We could even see some severe weather in the New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Slidell, Covington areas, even Mississippi here early tonight, 5, 6 o'clock. We've got to watch out for a few tornadoes, but Nothing like what we should see near the Texas-Louisiana border. More showers and storms expected tomorrow, but they should not be severe. Now, watch things here in Arkansas as we get into the overnight hours tonight. Let me move this along for you guys to see. Whoops, sorry about that. I lost my track. There we go. We should see rain and thunderstorms lifting north with the warm front here around lunchtime today. And then heavier rain moves into the southwestern portion of the state this evening around 9 or 10 o'clock. You'll see a few embedded tornadoes in here. This kind of looks like a spring-type system. As we head into the overnight hours, very heavy rain north and west of the track, including Little Rock, but more likely up towards Russellville, the Boston Mountains, Mountain Home, Fayetteville, and then eventually things are going to lift away from this area early in the afternoon tomorrow. Here's a look at where tornadic storms could pop up. You'll see the helicity increases here with that rotation in the atmosphere. Highest across western Louisiana early in the afternoon, or late in the afternoon and early in the evening, and then across the Ark-La-Tex this evening. And then take a look at this. In Arkansas, we will see some potential rotation in our storms overnight tonight. So if you are in Arkansas, make sure you've got a way of receiving warnings, tornado warnings that may pop up quickly during the middle of the night. We're not talking strong tornadoes, but very quick moving tornadoes here as the system moves off to the north and east. Lower portions of Missouri, western Kentucky, downstate Illinois, tomorrow morning, you are at the greatest risk for severe weather, and then this will shift to the north and east. But we may still see a little bit of severe weather even later in the day tomorrow across the end of the Ohio River, meeting into the Mississippi River Valley here as well. I do want to show you farther north and east where the heavy rain goes. This is our front moving in this evening. Heavy rain in places that do need it. As we move into the overnight hours and tomorrow morning, though, our threat for severe weather starts picking up, as you can see here, across southern Illinois and southern Indiana, maybe northern Kentucky as well. And then the main batch of storms with our system moves in here during the evening tomorrow night. You can kind of see it arcing here across western Kentucky, lower portions of Indiana, and far eastern Illinois. This threat for severe weather does weaken some as it moves into southern and central Indiana and western Ohio. I say southern Indiana, I'm not including Evansville. At that point, we're talking Bloomington and points farther east towards Cincinnati here overnight tomorrow night. You can see here the threat for tornadoes does start to climb a little bit here overnight tonight, but it will actually pick up a little bit more. This is the NAM model, so a little bit different model than what I just showed you, but you can see here downstate portions of Illinois, southeastern Missouri during the afternoon tomorrow, and then southwestern Indiana and the Owensboro area here in Kentucky early tomorrow night. And then later tomorrow night, the threat for tornadoes is a lot lower, but it's not zero over southeastern and eastern Indiana, as well as western portions of Ohio. There is even some potential for rotation moving into western PA and even western New York here during the day on Wednesday, but I do think at this point, it's not necessarily Beryl related, but related to the trough that'll be picking up Beryl and moving eastward across the Great Lakes. Here's a look at the heavy rain threat, and you'll see the Gulf is going to get crushed with heavy rain. We may see 7 to 15 inches of rain in southeast Texas. I'll zoom in on that for a bit. But generally speaking, right along the track here across Texas this morning, and then west of the track over southeast Oklahoma, western and central Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois, with a lot of places picking up between 3 to 5 inches of rain through tomorrow night. If you look at southeast Texas, you'll see this rain is going to pile up very quickly this morning. The Houston area looks at 5 to 10 inches of rain. Galveston, Bolivar Peninsula could see over a foot of rain. And all of this is going to be on the northeastern portion of the system here this morning. As we head off to the north and east, looking at the rest of Texas, you'll see that rain advances quickly northward this afternoon of College Station up towards Tyler, Lufkin. We do see potentially over 8 inches of rain from this one particular model, maybe even close to a foot. So flash flooding will certainly be a concern this morning in southeast Texas, and then this afternoon across northeastern Texas. That spreads into southwest Arkansas, where flooding will again be a problem. I know you guys got hammered in the spring. Things have not been quite as crazy since May, but unfortunately with this tropical system, we're going to be dealing with more heavy rain and more potential flash flooding. Farther north and east, you'll see the rain picks up over the Ozarks from our boundary today, and then we've got Beryl moving in overnight into tomorrow. And a lot of places down here are going to see some rainfall getting over 2 to 3 inches, maybe even 5 inches in a few places. Little Rock, it's showing 2 on this one model, but Pine Bluff showing 3. Farther north and east on the HER model, you'll see that rain picking up here, and maybe 4 to 5 inches in southwestern portions of Illinois. And then finally, the NAM model here, which goes out a little bit farther, will show you guys the potential for 2 to 3 inches of rain over northwest Indiana and southwestern Michigan. Unfortunately, the area that I really want to see this heavy rain is not seeing much on the NAM. That is the eastern Ohio Valley into West Virginia. We don't need a severe weather here. It was a very busy spring, but we could use some rainfall. Right now, the NAM keeps it primarily to the north and west, but some models are a little farther south and east. So there's still a prayer and some hope that you may get some rain out of this, but the heaviest should be back here across Illinois, Western Indiana, and Michigan, unfortunately, for those of you that do need that significant amount of rain. All right, so I'll have another video tomorrow morning as we watch Beryl weaken to a remnant low and depression at that point. But as always, I thank you for your time today. I hope everybody stays safe in Texas. I hope everybody took this storm seriously. I went to look back at the wind gusts in the last hour, and they are approaching hurricane force in Houston. A 75-mile-per-hour wind gust on the south side of Houston right now. Galveston Island, 75. Lake Jackson, 85. And some gusts close to 90 at the coast. So even though it's not as bad as it could have been, still a very serious storm for a lot of these folks. 80-mile-an-hour winds causes a lot of damage, but we're thankful that it certainly wasn't any worse. So thank you so much for your time today. As always, I want to give all the honor and glory to God and Jesus Christ, our Savior, who is coming again one day. And that excites me. That drives me every day to do what I do, not just to share the weather, but to use my spiritual gifts to hopefully bless other folks. Psalm 121, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. And that, folks, is the good news, that all of our help comes from above. The Lord created heaven and earth. He's not here for us to suffer, but he is here to help us and bring us out of these difficult times. And that includes these nasty laws of nature, all these hurricanes. The Lord doesn't create them. He is the one that we should seek refuge from. It's like when you go to the doctor, you don't go when you're healthy all the time. You go when you're sick, right? That's what we need to do for the Lord. We need to go to him when we are in need of his providence, and he will provide. So I pray that you are safe. And if you have any prayer requests outside of that, happy to pray for you if you want to list those prayers requests as well for me. Hope you all have a wonderful Monday. See you soon. Take care.